Hello everybody, welcome back. It is Bank Holiday Monday, the 1st of May. Can you believe we're in May already? And I am on the corner of King Edward Avenue and the promenade, and I am here at the new Hacketts demolition site to just show you folks what's left of the hotel and how demolition is progressing. This end bit, the bit that's the northmost part of the hotel on the side of King Edward Avenue and the promenade, that's pretty much the only bit that's left now. Looking at it from there, the way it goes all the way back, that's still quite a bit to come down. I mean, it was a big hotel, so they brought down an absolute ton of it. But what's left is still the size of a decent property. But today we're here just to watch the work that's going on. As you can see, it's mainly a clear up today, but we can still keep an eye on things. I'm not sure if there'll be any actual demolition off that last bit going on until they've cleared out a whole heap of what's left. You can see the back wall there that is connected to the adjacent property, the next door property. That will have to have a nice little wall build on the edge of it, same as what we did to the Ambassador when they pulled that down. Because they put a tarp up that was there for a few days and that blew down, so they redid it and then they built that nice little wall. But now that side looks really cool. But for now we're just going to stick around and film here. And again, I keep looking behind me again. I can't seem to stop looking behind me. And I keep telling myself, there's no cars, you idiot. That's a better view, I think, yeah. I wish there was a souvenir that we could snag, but there's like nothing. When I was filming the George being demolished, there was a lady who came and she spoke to the demolition crew, because apparently it had been her local for years and years and she'd looked it there and she'd met her husband there and something like that, and they gave her a couple of bricks. But I did see a few people outside of George when it was being demolished asking for bricks. I mean, I never went in there because I'm not a pub person, but the George was like a beloved place for a lot of people. So much stuff. And if we just pan across for a second, if you look across King Edward Avenue, you've got the magnificent Cliffs Hotel there. Imagine if the Cliffs, oh it's starting to rain, imagine if the Cliffs bought that space there and then they turned it into a car park for the hotel. You know, I can see that happening. I mean, car parking now seems to be big business in Blackpool. Almost everything that seems to be knocked down, like, oh, they're going to build a car park there. I guess car parking is popular, but everybody has cars now. Do you know, when I was a kid, I had this friend at school and we were going for walks, because we used to just go on walks all the time, like through town or just through the streets, or just go out walking, because that's what kids did back then. She goes, come down my street, I want to show you something. So we all walked down her street and she goes, look, and we looked down the street and there's this like Mark II Cortina, little brown car there, and she looked at us proud and goes, that's my dad's got a car, but your dads haven't got cars. And I was like, my dad's got a taxi, because my dad was a cabbie when I was little. And she's like, well, but he don't give you rides in it, does he? And I said, well, no, because he's a taxi driver. She said, well, that's not the same then, he hasn't got a car. But back then, virtually only rich people had cars, and you only had them like if you really needed one, like if you had a specific reason, if you were working in the next town or you got one with your job or something like that. Very few people just had a car that they used just for the sake of having a car for leisure and stuff like that. At least in the circles I moved around in, because we were quite poor as kids. But yeah, so many people, like, but now like everybody gets a car, but growing up I never learned to drive because I could never afford lessons. Just even back then, lessons for driving were super expensive. And then when I was around 18, 19, I moved to London. I worked in London for a few years on the London Underground, and when you work there you get free travel and transport. So I never needed a car. If I was lived in London, I had my free pass which took me on every bus and every tube train. And driving in London, even back then in the 80s, it was still congested and slow. And then when I came back to Blackpool, because obviously I did move back to Blackpool because I'm here now, Blackpool just seemed so tiny in comparison to London. I felt like I could walk from end to end fairly easily, so I never ever felt like I needed a car. Also, I was always too poor to take driving lessons and buy one, and now even if I could afford the car, I don't know if I'd want to learn to drive. I think I could learn to drive because I pick things up really quick, and written tests and things like that I've always been really good at. I've always tested really well for those things, but it wouldn't be passing a test I'd worry about. It'd be the actual driving on the road that I worry about, because I cycle a lot, and the amount of people that cycle into me, like when I'm going down a main road and they just come out the side streets and they cut me off, or they don't wait here and there. And I do know that some cyclists can be jerks and some motorists can be jerks, and vice versa. There's a lot of good cyclists and there's a lot of good motorists, but I always try to cycle considerately, you know. I always cycle on the road, I always stay right by the curb between the yellow lines if I can, and I always respect zebra crossings and traffic lights. But the amount of times, like I've been going down Devonshire Road and somebody almost hit me coming out of the side streets. In fact, somebody once did hit me a few years back. If you followed my channel for a long time, I did a video about it, moaning about it. But yeah, I was going down Devonshire Road on my bike, minding my own business, looking straight ahead, keeping an eye on everything, responsibly cycling, and this woman came straight up out of the side street and just acted like I was invisible, hit me and knocked me over. But then she hopped out of the car and tried to pick me up, so I don't know what she thought she was going to do, like pick me up. You're alright, get back on your bike, sorry about that, let's both carry on. But I couldn't stand up after that. I think I had a bit of a panic attack and it's shock or whatever, even though I wasn't physically badly hurt. I mean, I wasn't physically hurt at all. I had quite a lot of bruises the day after because I hit the floor quite hard. But aside from ouchy bruises, I had no physical injuries, no cuts, no breaks. But yeah, she's tried to pick me up and my legs just crumbled underneath me and I collapsed. And somebody who'd seen the accident happen from a nearby shop called an ambulance. And the ambulance came, but the ambulance also called the police, or the cafe owner called the police. I guess somebody called the police because they saw the cyclist being knocked off the bike, so I guess the police would come naturally. And yeah, the police came and they were saying like, what do you know about the driver, where's the driver? I'm like, I don't know, they've gone. Then the police were like, oh well, that's a hit and run then. I said, well no, because the driver actually was really nice and afterwards was really apologetic, and she was pretty shocked as well. But she did speak to me beforehand, you know, and she did leave details. So I said to the police, no, it's not a hit and run. And they're like, well, technically it could be if they didn't hang around. I'm like, yeah, but we know who they are. And they're like, do you want to press charges? And I went, I definitely don't want to press charges because I'm not injured. I mean, if I was injured or my bike was crashed, it would have been a different story. I would have thought, well, then I might have to, you know. But I don't want to press charges. I said, but feel free to give her a good talking to and say to her, like, don't drive into cyclists coming out of side streets onto main roads. Anyway, you guys have heard me waffle on long enough for this video, so I am going to close this one now. I'll start a new one so you'll get to see more of this. I'm just going to hang around a while and watch, because it's turning out to be a lovely day. So yeah, as usual, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you still haven't subscribed, and maybe check out another playlist. I'll link a couple in the description. And I will be right back in the next one. See you in a bit.